Hello and welcome back to Art Masters with me, Mrs. Partia. Today we're going to be doing art just like Impressionist artist Claude Monet. Monet liked to use dabs of color to have the eye mix the color and play with light. So today we're going to be doing an impressionistic tree. Just like Monet, we're going to be using bright dabs of color to get the unique impression of our tree. So let's go ahead and get started for Art Masters. Okay, my friends, to get started, we are going to get a pencil, or you could use one of the crayons, and you're going to write your name on your paper. And then you are going to glue your Monet tag on the back with your glue stick. And then when you're ready, you'll flip it over, and then we'll get ready for instructions. So for our tree trunk, you'll see we're not keeping it super realistic. Remember, we're just doing like an impression of the tree and the tree trunk. So we'll be using crayons and line. So for the first thing I'm going to do is select a color for my tree. I may do one or two colors, and I don't have to do brown. Like that's a very typical color, right? I might do green and orange. Or maybe I'll do blue and purple for my tree trunk. Or if you really want to just choose one color, that's fine, like a brown or a black, that's fine as well. But I'm going to pick kind of a darker color for my tree trunk. So here's how I'm going to start. You guys are going to watch first. So I'm going to I don't want my tree to go all the way down to the bottom of my paper. I want it to go either 2 or probably 3 of your fingers from the bottom, and I might just put a very light dot right above my 3 fingers. So that's going to kind of be my point of starting my wiggly branches. So I'm going to hold my crayon. I don't need to hold it super hard. I'm going to kind of start light, and I could go darker. I'm going to start at the dot, and I'm going to kind of go about halfway up the page, squiggly line. Once I get to about half, I'm going to start to branch out. So let's start with 3 lines. Let me show you. I'm going to start at my dot again. I'm going to go up and wiggly and then branch out. And then I'm not starting exactly at the dot every time, just kind of within that line, right? I'm going to go up and wiggle, and I'm going to branch out. Let's start with doing a dot above our 3 fingers. And then let's start with 3 wiggly lines, going about halfway up and branching out. So let's everyone select 1 or 2 color crayons, put the dot, and let's do the tree lines. Good, so now you guys are getting a good feel for this tree branch line. So now I might start still within the line of the dot, but I might start down here, bring it back over, and I'm going to kind of pretend this line is climbing along that line that I have. Do you see how I made it kind of curl around there? And I might do the same thing on this other side, a little bit off of the edge. And I'm going to pretend it's climbing along this line. And I'm going to do the same thing to my 3rd branch. Start about here and have it just act like it's climbing along that line. So go ahead and kind of overlap the current line that you have and branching out the bottom just a little bit. I still have this nice space for my bottom, and I'm kind of just going over the branches that I currently have, adding a little bit more fun and movement. Okay, excellent job, my friends. I am going to grab 1 more color. You don't have to. This is optional. If you're really happy with the way your tree trunk looks right now, good. You don't have to do any more. I'm just going to show you a little bit more. Like for you 2nd graders, you might really enjoy doing a 2nd color, okay? So I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to go right along the line on my dot, starting at the bottom, and I'm going to pretend that my line is climbing, and maybe I'll add another branch out. So if you would like to grab that second color, you're doing the same thing, starting and drawing up. I still want some space, so we're doing slow, we're not scribbling. We're just kind of pulling our line, thinking about a tree. And if you feel like you're happy with your single color, go ahead and just take a break until we get to the painting. Okay, excellent job, my friends. So if you feel happy with your tree, great. If you feel like your tree trunk is a little bit skinny, maybe go back and add a little bit more of a root. See how I'm just branching it out a little bit? Or if you feel like you wanted to add an extra couple of tree branches, just branching from your line, you may do that. But we're getting close to wanting to paint. So do any last minute final touches on your tree trunk to make sure that you're happy with it before we start painting. Okay, so now we're gonna get ready to get our paint. So let's have our helpers start handing out little cups of water and a palette. My blue paint kind of splattered a little bit, so be careful. That's why our parent helpers will be doing this. So while our helpers are getting that, let's look at our color wheel. So we have our color wheel right here. So in our video, the slideshow, you probably learned a little bit about the color wheel. So we have our primary colors, our red, our yellow, and our blue. Oh, how convenient. That's what I have right here. So those ones cannot be mixed. However, if I want orange, I would mix yellow and red. If I want green, I would mix blue and yellow. You could see this right here as well. And if I wanted purple, I could mix blue and red. But if you remember, Monet doesn't really like to mix the colors. He liked to dab big blobs of color, and then your eye would naturally mix it. So that's what we're gonna be doing, is dabbing the colors, okay? So since my tree is green and blue, I might want to use complementary colors to give a nice contrast, like red and yellow for my leaves. Or if I want it to be harmonizing, maybe I'll use greens and blues so it all looks similar. Here, okay. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm thinking about leaves. So leaves are attached to the branch, right? So that's the first ones that I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna dab in one color, and then I'll dab in the next color. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of red. So I'm dipping right into the paint and dabbing it on my plate to get an idea of what that's gonna look like. I'm not doing brush strokes. I'm dabbing, dot, 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 dot. Do you guys see the difference? Okay, so let's just start with a little area like that. Okay, and let's see what happens if I push a little harder on my brush. I get a bigger dab. I'm gonna go back to this branch now. See how I'm finding the edge of my branch and starting there? Dip in the red, dot on the plate, smush by the branch. So everyone's gonna start with one color, dip in the paint, dab on your plate, smush by the branch. I'm not doing brush strokes. I'm not trying to make it look like a leaf. We're just giving the impression of a leaf with color. So go ahead and get started with your first color and just get some dots right at the edge of each of your branch. Okay, excellent job, my friends. So we all have a little bit of dabs of paint. We're getting more comfortable with our paint and our brush. I am now not going to clean my brush. I'm just gonna leave it just like this. And now, me personally, you could pick a different color. I'm gonna pick yellow, because yellow and red will kind of make an orange, and I want it to be kind of contrasting with this. So I'm gonna dip right into my yellow, not cleaning my brush, dab, dab, same thing. And I'm gonna kind of dab right around the colors. So dip in the paint, dab on the plate, dab by the branches. So now I'm going around the colors that I have, kind of adding a little bit more into the blank area. you do still want some white space. And you'll see as I dab, it's already starting to mix and be orange. It's okay if you overlap some of your leaves, but we're still thinking about staying near the branches as we dab. So go ahead and take a second color. Think about it. Think about the color just like Monet thought about his color, and pick a second color. Okay, excellent job, my friends. If you would like to be done, you're happy with the way your leaves look, it almost looks like an autumn tree, then you can be done, okay? If you feel like you need to fill yours in a little bit more, I'm kind of feeling that way. So I'm not gonna go crazy and pick another color. I might just go back to my original color, and I might make some bigger dabs now that I'm a little more comfortable with my brush. And I might just go ahead and fill in some of those areas. And then maybe I'll go back to my second color and I might fill in some of those areas. So if you would like to fill in a little bit more of your areas, try to keep to those same two colors. And as you continue, they're naturally mixing and your eye is going to blur them together, and it's going to look very nice. So if you'd like to fill in your tree a little bit, I still have a lot of white space, but go back to those same two colors, maybe doing a little bit bigger dabs and overlapping a little bit. Okay, my friends, you might be done. Most of you probably are done. However, if some of you second graders would like to add a little bit more, you may. This is optional. I might have some leaves falling. Maybe there's a couple on the ground. Do you see how I'm keeping my ground where my line is? So if you would like to add a couple, you see how I have 3 of fallen leaves, you may do so. All right, so now our trees are looking lovely. The last thing we might want to do is put our name or initials, like a signature, on our painting. So if you would like to do this, I'll make a suggestion where we have this nice space right here. For you might want to put your name just underneath your tree branch. So my name's a little bit long, so I'm gonna put, I'm gonna try to write small. If you wanna just put the first letter of your first name and maybe the first letter of your last name, you could put your initials, just like Monet. So well, great job, and we'll see you next time on Art Masters. Excellent job today, guys, with your Monet tree. If you have time to hang these all up and evaluate them today or later, go ahead and notice the colors used. Were they complementary colors or opposite? Did you just use the primary colors? Or are the colors looking like orange, even though you used red and yellow? So great job today, guys, with your impressionistic tree by Monet. And we'll see you next time on Art Masters.